Dr. Conde-Frazier, you are the academic dean at Esperanza College in Philly. Can you just talk through how you see Esperanza College responding to the deep poverty that takes place or that's at work in certain areas in Philadelphia?
Yeah, well, earlier I talked about how important academic efficacy is. Mm-hmm. And for young people, it's important to them because they get it that still is a way of, it's a pathway of hope, yep. Right? It's yes. a pathway of hope. And so it's a college where it's going to be affordable, it's accessible. So we understand that people have to work, that they have these, strange cycles of life and so forth because of the poverty. And we understand that we're in a context of violence, and so this is going to be a safe space. This is, the way our schedule works is different. You could be a day student, you could be a night student, you could be an afternoon student, you could do a mix. You could switch from day to night or vice versa in the middle of a semester because your shift changed. And you could do that as many times as you need to, and you're going to have a mirror course, so you're not missing anything. You're going to see all of the staff that you would see in the day, you're going to see them at night as well because we take shifts. Right? We work shifts as well. So you're going to see us, so that relational piece will always be there for you. That's really important if you're going to be making it. The other thing is that we don't have concentrations where if you're going into that, if you're going to go into a concentration, it has to be one where we know that there are jobs available in Philadelphia for you to have, mm-hmm. and that there are jobs paying at least $40,000. Okay? Because that is what it's going to take to come out of the deep poverty.
Yeah.
So we don't have every concentration there. We only have the ones that meet that criteria.
Wow.
Okay? Then the other piece is that we have the support system that it takes for you to learn that, because we understand that the urban schools didn't prepare you adequately for that. They prepared you to go to prison because that's what they believed about you.
Right.
Instead of making people feel like that's their fault and having all these remedial courses for which you use up your financial aid,
right.
and you don't get credit for, so now you're paying because they messed up on you.
Right.
Instead, we have transitional education. So our semester is longer. It's a 20-week semester so that we could sort of have the time to make up and keep moving you along. Our classrooms have to be smaller. The professor-student ratio has to be one where you can get to know your professor gets to know you, because we know that success at that level is predicated on how well you can relate to your professor, and vice versa, right? So we're creating and that's a financial decision, because I could put 150 people in a big lecture hall, and I only need one professor, and I only have to pay one professor, and that makes me a whole lot more profit. But if I have 12 students in a room, right, our biggest classroom is going to accommodate 25, and we don't even go there. We begin capping our classes. So all of that are very intentional decisions for making sure that you're going to succeed, because moving on is important. And then the last thing is an internship. You need to have an internship or some kind of field experience where you can have visibility in that field. You're learning to be a professional there, and it's going to be the kind of internship that could turn into a job for you. Mm. My professors are persons who work in these different fields, and they're going to help you understand what it means to work in that field, because we're doing professional development as we go along. Mm. And so it means that when you do that internship, that if you do right in that internship, it could turn into a job for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah? That's important, because now you're going to have a job at a whole other level, which then helps you to move on toward, you're with us for 2 years, it helps you to move on toward your BA, right?
Right. And
so those are some of the pieces that education does. But we work in tandem with ministries in the neighborhood. And so why don't you say something about the Barrio Youth Initiative, which is also important for how these young people get the support that they need outside of the school context.
Sure. So the Barrio Youth Initiative of Esperanza works really closely with the college. And on this side of the house, we're equipping those that work with the most at-risk young people, some of the stories which we mentioned earlier today, giving them the nuts and bolts of working with young people. Some of these youth ministers may end up going to the college. Others already have degrees and have been doing youth ministry for 20, 25 years and are professionals elsewhere to earn a living for their families, but yet their volunteer time, whether it's 20 hours a week, whether it's 40 hours a week, are serving young people. And so we provide a fairly rigorous leadership development program that incorporates some components that would keep them in ministry, particularly youth ministry, for the long haul. Most youth ministers burn out early on. They're committed. They love young people, but they're spending money out of their pockets, not having the necessary resources, nor the training to be able to share with young people not just a way in which to contribute back to their communities, but a vision as well. And so we create those educational opportunities. We also have vision trips for them in which we take them as a group outside of town to dialogue with other leaders in other communities as to what's working, what's not working in their context. And sometimes it's some of the things that are happening in Philadelphia, but it takes them leaving their own context to appreciate what somebody else is doing. We're trying to provide more writing opportunities as well. There are not that many resources, for example, in our case, for Latinos by Latinos. And so we're giving them opportunities to begin writing their experiences, their lessons learned, best practices, etc., that never get published, that never get the attention, but yet are very effective, especially in small communities. We talked earlier about our cities and how Philadelphia is one of those places that has over 60 neighborhoods. And so you can literally be in a 4-square block area and walk to the east and you're in a total different neighborhood, even though it's part of North Philadelphia.
And people don't visit each other.
That's correct.
It's a very neighborhood-centered city.
And so we provide a lot of networking opportunities, cross-denominationally, cross-culturally, and that gives them the inspiration that, yes, youth ministry is worth doing. It is fun. It is still exciting. We can help transform lives with guys like Doughboy and others that they engage with on a regular basis, in which, in some cases, maybe even their family members are involved in activities that may be criminal, but yet they're still dedicated to the gospel and continue to believe that it can help transform their lives and their family lives. So the Body Youth Initiative works really closely with the college, and sometimes as a feeder to some of the courses that they offer.